We've got some breaking news out of the NFL where Russell Wilson is signing with the New York Giants. That's been confirmed by CBS NFL insider Jonathan Jones. It's a one-year deal worth up to $21 million, with $10.5 of that coming in guarantees. Wilson spent this past season with the Steelers, limping to an 0-5 finish and a wild-card loss. The former Seahawk turned Steeler will now join a Giants team that went just 3-14 last year, currently holding the number 3 pick in this year's draft. ESPN also reporting that Wilson was in discussions with the Browns and Steelers before electing to sign with the Giants. And for more, we say hello to the aforementioned Jonathan Jones. JJ, take us through your reporting on this one. We've been tracking Wilson relative to Rodgers, and we'll get there, but how did the deal get done here in New York?
Okay, so let's go back to last year, right? When the Denver Broncos released Russell Wilson, he was a free agent. He was going to play on the veteran minimum. He took a trip to the Giants, took a trip to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Giants still had Daniel Jones, couldn't really tell him, hey, you're going to be QB1. The Steelers, hey, you can be QB1. Wound up going ahead and getting Justin Fields. Had the injury in training camp, couldn't start at the start of the year. Probably, if it were up to Russell Wilson, would have gone out there on the field earlier than a conservative Steelers medical staff allowed him to. But when he was handed over the reins to a winning team, continued that winning until, of course, the months got a little colder, the season got a little longer, and everything caught up to Russell Wilson and the Pittsburgh Steelers, as we see right there. Look, it was a one-year experiment. Both sides wanted it to be more successful than it was. Perhaps if it were 0-5 and then 6-1, we'd be talking about Russell Wilson having returned to the Pittsburgh Steelers. But the way things ended, maybe some personalities there, it ultimately, Russell Wilson was not going to go back to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh wasn't really going to have Russell Wilson back, and so he has known that. The Giants have known that for some time, and so getting him in at the start of legitimate NFL free agency, not that legal tampering window, but as soon as the real free agency could begin, he took that trip to the Cleveland Browns, took that trip to the New York Giants, and obviously the Giants, again, with more than a year of interest in him, continued that interest. And I know that we're going to get to Aaron Rodgers, but as both sides sort of did this dance, they realized, look, yeah, we signed Jameis Winston. Yeah, we have Tommy DeVito. Yes, we have the number 3 overall draft pick, but we can still have you, Russell Wilson. And so for a one-year deal that at its base is $10.5 million, Russell Wilson goes to the Big Apple. I'm glad you outlined all of that at the end, because it's a crowded quarterback room right now, and the quality in it maybe suggests you have capable starters and a number of them, but you don't necessarily have a future if you look towards what Russell Wilson might be, what Jameis Winston might be, what Tommy DeVito we've seen can be. If you're looking for a long-term answer and you have a coach and an executive in the position that the Giants currently are, what does this mean for that 3rd overall pick and further down the draft board for the Giants come late April? Yeah, it's a great question. It's an interesting one. Look, Russell Wilson, he's 37, going to be 37 years old this upcoming season. You have Jameis Winston, who's been an off-again, on-again starter. Tommy DeVito, at this point, I think the Giants probably know what they have in him, like him at the certain salary number that he's at. Speaking of salary, the fact that the Giants have Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, I think most people would agree, 2 capable veteran starting quarterbacks, maybe not going to get you to the Super Bowl, but capable starting veteran quarterbacks at a combined about $15 million in 2025. That's a good deal. That's good team building, right? If you want to look at it as, we're not going to get the guy in the Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts tier, but to get 2 guys at under 15 or around $15 million this year, okay, good. Now you have the number 3 overall pick. We've been saying for more than a month now, Cam Ward is very, very likely to go number 1 overall to whichever team is picking number 1 overall. After his pro day yesterday, it certainly continues to appear that the Tennessee Titans are not going to allow any other team to have the number 1 overall pick. And so let's go ahead and place Cam Ward in Nashville. At number 2, you have the Cleveland Browns. They will be out at Colorado's Pro Day at the start of April to take a look at Shedeur Sanders. Perhaps another look at an Abdul Carter with Penn State as well. That is a possibility. Travis Hunter, Will Campbell. We can go down the list of the top guys in the draft. But really what the Giants are looking at is potentially a Shedeur Sanders at number 3, potentially having to trade up to number 2. You know, we've seen trades up by one spot to make sure that you get the quarterback that you need. It's possible Shedeur Sanders doesn't get picked in the top 3, top 5, top 10 first round. You know, last week a lot of folks were saying Shedeur Sanders to the Cleveland Browns at 2. Now a lot of folks are saying Shedeur Sanders at number 3 to the Giants. I say we're a month out from the draft and no one really knows. But what this deal for Russell Wilson does for the New York Giants, it does not preclude them from taking a Shedeur Sanders at number 3 at all. And so they may still believe that their quarterback of the future is in the draft. And whether they have communicated that to Russell Wilson or not, I would have to imagine he has to have some idea that he just signed this contract with the possibility that he may be more or less raising a replacement for him. Yeah, he's going to fend off Jameis Winston. And yeah, I know the guy that they may draft at number 3 could be the future of this franchise, but he's not the present. Russell Wilson is certainly believing that he's the present for the Giants. And this contract, relative to the other guys in the room, certainly shows everyone that Russell Wilson is QB1.
It does feel, again, eerily similar to the situation a year ago that Russ was in with another capable quarterback in the same room as him. We'll see who gets that start week 1. Likely Wilson, given the health. That was the plan in Pittsburgh. Did not come to fruition. We saw him. He kept the job. Now a new job in New York. We did think it was going to be Rodgers domino falls. Then we find out where Russ goes. But just another example of it happens when it happens. We're not sure when it's going to happen yet for Aaron Rodgers. What does this mean for him relative to this latest seat being filled? It only pushes us closer to Pittsburgh, no?
It does. And when Aaron Rodgers took that trip to Pittsburgh late last week, you know, that was significant. Making sure that everything's going to check out and everything's going to work out and everyone likes everyone, et cetera, et cetera. So when it comes to Russell Wilson, or excuse me, when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, I certainly do believe that ultimately he will be a Pittsburgh Steeler, in large part because if we're talking about a game of musical chairs, music's about to stop. There's one chair left, and there's the quarterback, right? You have Kirk Cousins, who is still, you know, coming off that Achilles, who you still have to trade for with the Atlanta Falcons in order to get him. There is an Aaron Rodgers who is available, who seems to want the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers seem to want him. And now, if you're the Steelers, there's no negotiating against any other team. You're really negotiating against yourselves. Aaron Rodgers wanted to go to the Minnesota Vikings. It did not seem that the Minnesota Vikings ultimately wanted Aaron Rodgers. Now, the Giants, they were very interested in Aaron Rodgers. Make no mistake about it. But the Giants aren't going to be played as fools. They know that, look, we're not going to be used as leverage for so long. We'll wait for a little bit for the guy that we probably want at a higher price point than Russell Wilson. We're not going to wait forever. And so now, if you're Aaron Rodgers, there's no more, I guess, threatening. I guess one could threaten potential retirement if that does take place. If Aaron Rodgers decides he does not want to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers and that he would rather hang it up, at least for a little bit, then where does that leave the Pittsburgh Steelers? Great question. They did sign Mason Rudolph, but yeah, you talk about a certain caliber of quarterback that the Pittsburgh Steelers have enjoyed for the last several years. I don't know that they would have that this upcoming year. So, barring a Rodgers retirement, I would expect, we all expect, that Aaron Rodgers would end up in Pittsburgh. When? Well, that'll be up to Aaron Rodgers. When logically could or should it happen? Should happen this week. Will it? We've been doing this, Joe, for several years, you and I together, talking a lot about Aaron Rodgers. Far be it from me to say when it absolutely is going to happen.
The key term there being logically. We appreciate Jonathan Jones and his reporting always here on CBS Sports HQ as we have news that Russell Wilson is now a New York Football Giant. It's a one-year deal, 10.5 guaranteed. We'll have to take a look at that incentive structure, but can top out at $21 million. Russ, it's been quite a go-around. The former Super Bowl champion in Seattle tried to get it going with the Broncos, couldn't get on the same page with the head coach and the staff there. After that, a stop with the Steelers that showed promises and flickers in moments, but floundered at the finish. Now he'll give it a try in New York on a one-year deal.